Somewhere in the frozen Alpine mountains, buried deep beneath the earth where ancient things sleep, you open your eyes for the first time. Nobody tucked you in. Nobody sang you a lullaby. You just exist now, born from old pagan fears and centuries of whispered warnings. Welcome to existence, you horrifying bundle of fur and fangs. The first thing you notice is your body. Look down. One of your feet is normal enough, kind of human-looking. The other one? That's a goat hoof. Great. You've got mismatched feet for eternity. Try not to think about it too much. Your hands end in claws, your body is covered in thick black fur, and when you reach up to touch your head, you find two massive curling horns. Oh, and that long thing flopping around? That's your tongue. It's serpentine, way too long, and honestly kind of gross. You're going to love it. You spend your early days in the dark places of the Alps, learning to move through shadows and caves and forgotten forests. Your senses are sharp. You can smell fear. Literally. The terror of guilty creatures drifts toward you on the cold mountain wind, and it smells absolutely delicious. You start to understand what you are. You're not here to cuddle anyone. You're not here to hand out cookies. You exist to punish, and business is about to get very, very busy. Those chains wrapped around your wrists and ankles? They jangle constantly. At first, they seem annoying, but you learn to use them. The sound announces your arrival. The rattling echoes through valleys and bounces off mountainsides. When creatures hear those chains coming, they freeze. They know. Something wicked this way clanks. Your first December rolls around, and suddenly everything changes. The night of December 5th arrives, and a strange energy fills the air. It's Krampus Nacht. Your night. You emerge from whatever dark hole you've been lurking in, and the world feels different. The snow crunches under your mismatched feet. The cold doesn't bother you at all. You were made for this weather, for this darkness, for this one specific job. And here comes your coworker. A bearded figure in elaborate robes walks through the Alpine village ahead of you. That's Saint Nicholas, your partner, your polar opposite. He's all smiles and golden staffs and handing out treats to the good ones. You? You handle the other list. The naughty list. The fun list. Nicholas knocks on a door, and a family welcomes him inside. He checks his notes, nods approvingly at the children, and hands out small gifts. Everyone's happy. Everyone's relieved. Then you step through the doorway, and suddenly the temperature in the room drops about 50 degrees. Your horns scrape the ceiling, your tongue lolls out, your chains rattle and shake. The children who behaved? They just stare at you with wide eyes, grateful they made good choices this year. But that one kid in the corner, the one who's been pulling his sister's hair and lying about finishing his chores, he knows exactly why you're here. You reach for the bundle of birch branches strapped to your back. They call it a root. You've spent months finding the perfect branches, bundled them together, and now they're ready for action. The swatting begins. Nothing too dramatic, just enough to make a point. You're not a monster. Well, you are technically a monster, but you're a monster with standards. The first few years of Krampusnacht teach you a lot about your job. You learn which villages have the most troublemakers. You memorize the faces of repeat offenders. Some kids get better after meeting you once. Others seem to think last year was a fluke. Those ones see you again. And again. Eventually, most of them figure it out. Fear is an excellent teacher. But the birch branches aren't your only tool. Remember that basket strapped to your back? The big wicker one that looks extremely uncomfortable? That's for the real troublemakers. The legendary bad ones? The ones who push every limit and break every rule. Tradition says you're supposed to stuff them in that basket and cart them off. Where exactly? Options include drowning, eating, or a direct trip to the underworld. You've never actually followed through on any of these, but nobody needs to know that. The threat alone usually does the trick. As decades pass, you develop a routine. Most of the year, you roam the mountains. You explore caves that go deeper than anyone knows. You wander through forests so ancient they remember when all this land was different. You practice rattling your chains in new and terrifying ways. Sometimes you just sit on a cliff and let the wind blow through your fur while you think about all the kids who are probably misbehaving right now. Their time will come. Other creatures avoid you. Wolves give you a wide berth. Mountain goats, despite you having a goat foot, want nothing to do with you. Even the bears seem uncomfortable when you're around. Fair enough, you're not exactly built for friendship. Your social circle is basically just Nicholas, and you only see him once a year. The rest of the time, you're a solitary creature of darkness and punishment. It's honestly kind of peaceful. By now, you've been doing this for a few hundred years. Civilizations rise and fall, villages grow into towns, towns grow into cities, but every December 5th, without fail, you show up. You've become something beyond a simple punisher. You're a tradition. You're a legend. You're the reason parents can say, behave or else, and actually mean it. Speaking of traditions, did you know they throw parties for you now? The Krampus laugh has become a whole thing. Groups of young creatures dress up in costumes trying to look like you, running through the streets, rattling fake chains, waving fake birch branches. Some of them do a decent job with the masks. Others look absolutely ridiculous. You've watched these events from the shadows, and honestly, the imitation is flattering. Terrifying but flattering. Your reputation has grown beyond the Alps. Creatures in distant lands have heard of you. They've made paintings and cards and stories about you. Some of these cards show you looking quite friendly. Others show you accurately, which is to say, absolutely nightmare-inducing. You don't really care how they draw you, as long as they remember the lesson. Be good, or face the consequences. The centuries stack up. Your fur has a few more gray streaks now. Your joints creak a little when the weather changes. But your tongue is still horrifyingly long. Your chains still rattle beautifully. And your basket is still ready for troublemakers. Some things never change. December 5th comes around again. You emerge from the shadows. Same as always. Nicholas is there. Same as always. The village looks different now. New buildings, new streets. But the children? Still the same mix of good and bad. Still some angels and some little terrors. You crack your knuckles. You adjust your basket. You give your chains an experimental shake. Nicholas looks at you and nods. Time to get to work. The first house has 3 good children and one who's been stealing cookies from the neighbor's kitchen. Easy job. Quick swat with the root. Message delivered. Moving on. The next house has a kid who told their teacher something extremely rude. Another swat. The house after that has a real handful. The kind of repeat offender who should probably know better by now. You lean down until your horns are almost touching their nose. Your tongue flicks out. Your chains rattle. The child's eyes go wide. Next year, you growl, make better choices. Then you're out the door, and on to the next house. Nicholas gives you a look, maybe impressed, maybe concerned. Hard to tell with him. You just shrug and keep moving. There are more houses to visit, more lessons to teach, more chains to rattle. By dawn, you're done. Another Krampus knocked in the books. Nicholas waves goodbye and disappears to wherever saints go when they're off duty. You trudge back toward the mountains, snow crunching under your mismatched feet. The villages are quiet now. Everyone's inside, probably relieved that you're gone for another year. You find a nice cave to settle into. The chains go quiet. The basket gets tucked away. You stretch out, close your eyes, and start the long wait until next December. Somewhere in the distance, a village receives a fresh delivery of birch branches. A merchant has no idea why they sell so well this time of year. You know. You always know. 364 days until your next shift, better start counting. Actually wait, you just remembered. That one kid from the third house, the cookie thief, gave you the most adorable, terrified squeak when you walked in. You're going to be thinking about that sound for months, possibly years. That's the good stuff right there. That's why you do this job. Anyway, sleep well. You've earned it, you horrifying, goat-footed legend. Oh no, you just realized you left your favorite birch branch bundle at that farmhouse on the hill, the really nice one with the perfect swatting weight. You spent 40 years finding those exact branches. Great. Now you have to go back. In broad daylight. With the sun out. Looking like this. This is going to be so embarrassing.